Like The Rise of Skywalker, while I'm not the biggest fan of The Last Jedi, I do think there are a lot of things to love about it, starting with Luke. We waited 2 whole years to see how Luke would react to seeing his old lightsaber again, to meeting Rey, to seeing Chewie, the Falcon, to hearing the news. Then we get this. I remember it getting a mixed reception in cinemas, but I loved it. It was such a great troll. There's a lot of stuff in The Last Jedi that I feel is disrespectful to the canon, the characters, and the fans, but this is not one of those things. It tells us so much about the man Luke has become, his feelings towards the Jedi, and conflict in general. He sees that lightsaber again, and his thoughts are that taking it up and rejoining the fight isn't going to change a damn thing, more or less. The humor in The Last Jedi, as seen in shots like this, is also something that I feel copped a lot of undue criticism. It was something I liked in The Force Awakens, and I dig it in this film too. Serious films can have moments of levity. In fact, I feel they should. That back and forth between Poe and Hux at the start was awesome. In fact, that whole opening sequence was awesome. The ill-fated bombing run on the Super Star Destroyer was such a great way to open the film, and there's so much about it that I appreciate that I don't quite know where to start. I like that the good guys won, but at a terrible cost. I like that it shows Poe isn't quite ready to lead. I like that it shows ordinary people fighting for what they believe is right, and the cost their loved ones have to pay for their bravery. And as weird as it sounds, I like that it feels like Star Wars. If you've seen my video on Star Wars Outlaws, then you know I have kind of a weird criteria for what makes a Star Wars project work. To me, good Star Wars is when the world feels believable, when you start to feel like you're right there with them. Think of Luke fixing up R2 and 3PO at the start of A New Hope, or even something as simple as the Falcon cockpit shots in Empire, with much of the ambient lighting coming from the buttons and monitors and whatever. Seeing the interior of the bomber at the start of The Last Jedi is one of those moments for me, but it's not the only one. A lot of little moments, like the kid with the broom at the end, or Hux on the bridge, or when Finn was angling to jump ship. The set design just felt right to me. Another thing that, for whatever reason, really felt like Star Wars to me were those bullshit useless skimmers or whatever they were in the Battle of Crate. That whole scene felt a bit like a second-rate Battle of Hoth, and I feel like that was the point. But those rickety, barely flying vehicles just felt so right to me. There's a lot of things I dig about the prequels, but the way so much of it was sleek and clean, I feel worked against it. I also loved how the ground in the scene goes from pure white to this mess of red. All the promotional art for The Last Jedi featured this red on white palette, and it's not until the final scene that we see why. It's gorgeous. I didn't like Rose's final moments in the film. I thought her supposed hero moment undercut Finn's sacrifice, and the kiss came out of nowhere and wasn't earned. That said, I actually love Rose as a character. She was the Lando Calrissian of the sequel trilogy, but she didn't get to shine. She had a unique background, a unique set of skills, she had more skin in the game than anyone, and it's a crime how underutilized she was. I know it's not going to happen, but I really hope we get more of her in future. The upgraded AT-ATs, the AT-M6s, were amazing too. They fit my weird, it feels like Star Wars criteria. They complement the First Order's aesthetic, and they looked amazing in the crate setting. I love all the guerrilla-inspired details in their design too. And in their shadow, at the end of the film, we get Luke's redemption. I absolutely despise what The Last Jedi did to Luke's character, and I won't be talked around. But his final moments here, in particular this shot, was an absolute blast, and one of like half a dozen moments that had me on the edge of my seat. There's more, but I want to wrap this up quickly, so I'm just going to rattle them off in no particular order. The choice to have Kylo kill Snoke was a bold one, and ultimately didn't pay off. But seeing that shit in cinemas was incredible. It was so tense. I wasn't sure he was going to be able to do it, or that Snoke wasn't going to somehow come back. And to follow it up with Rey and Kylo Ren switching lightsabers and taking out a slew of Praetorian guards was a stroke of genius. In my opinion, that fight scene is one of the best in Star Wars history. And like killing Snoke, ending the fight with Anakin's lightsaber shattering was a bold move that didn't pay off, but I thought it was a good direction to go in. It's a shame they undid it. Same goes for having Rey just be some random person. The idea that she wasn't a child of someone famous or powerful, and that ordinary people working together, saving what they love, is the way to true lasting change, is a powerful message. I really wish The Rise of Skywalker had have learned from it.